Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, King Dia, Lauren Frey, Grim Clover, Internet Bloodsport, City of Steel, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. So, KiwiFarms has been taken down. Has been taken down for a while, and I have not commented on it, even though I've made allusions to the fact that I had very strong feelings about the situation and about Josh. A big reason why I don't speak up about KiwiFarms is that I personally don't want to associate with them. I strongly believe that KiwiFarms is trash, that Josh was hosting illegal material on his website, and that it absolutely deserved to be taken down. Now, is it being taken down for the right reasons? Probably not. From what I understand, it's probably due to them sometimes stumbling across real serious allegations against certain government organizations and things along those lines. But the long and short of it is that KiwiFarms is a drama website that hosts a lot of private information regarding a lot of internet famous people, right? You have Boogie 2988, you have Movie Bob, you have Spoonie, you have Linkara, Nostalgia Critic, Lindsay Ellis. You have all these people that have active threads on KiwiFarms, and you have all their personal information, you have addresses in a lot of cases, and if you don't have that, you have access to people who will be able to give you access to that stuff. You know what these people are, you know what they're doing, you have this entire catalog of extremely personal information that has just been compiled over the years. And I personally feel as if that in and of itself is an invasion of people's privacy and that it really should not exist. This isn't something I say lightly because this is something I've been struggling with for years, ever since I stumbled across the Chris Chan thing and kind of started thinking a lot about how I feel about the community of people that surround him. And I've said this several times about people like Medicare, about Ethan Ralph, and about all the people in the KiwiFarms sphere, Nick Rekieta, all the people in the KiwiFarms sphere that obsessing over other people over the internet is just creepy. In a lot of ways, I feel like Josh and his little forum are worse. I suppose we're worse than the people they covered, right? Because whenever I would browse the website and find people I knew, people like Razor Fist or stuff like that, you would find threads of people being extremely biased and really attacking this person, even though they can't really be considered a lolcow in the traditional sense. And that is the trend I've been noticing the website go down in recent years, is that people tend to isolate themselves into specific threads and they don't have a lot of overlap. And as a result, a lot of times people are attacking certain individuals that honestly I wouldn't even consider to be lolcow status. All right. Or in Nick Rekieta's case, these guys will worship him because, oh man, Nick, he's so based. Ugh. You know how I feel about that. But it's and then in the Spoonie thread, you have this refusal to ban discussion of this irrelevant warthog, whose name I don't even remember, who I didn't want to read about, who a lot of people didn't want to read about, but oh man, she's only relevant because of Spoonie, so we have to have her on this thread instead of just letting it die and letting Spoonie be forgotten. It felt like it was a never-ending cycle of just bullshit and nonsense and stuff that really isn't worth talking about. Not really. That was my feeling about that. This is a forum that was supposed to be dedicated to Chris Chan, right? But Chris Chan hasn't been all that relevant since 2013 or so. He's been he was pretty actively off the internet from 2013 to just recently, right? Occasionally he would do something ridiculous the dimensional merge and then fucking his own mom and the GameStop incident. There were occasional bursts of Christian related stuff, but for the longest time the saga was essentially over. It was on hiatus, right? We had this huge gap between seasons. But what would happen, I think, is that groups that would organize on KiwiFarms, people who would meet up on KiwiFarms, would sort of just come together and say that like come together and like organize trolling operations against Chris Chan. Now, Josh's official stance on this is that this was not condoned by the site, and this isn't something that they wanted, and that like that's highly illegal and it's not cool, and that you shouldn't mess with Chris and stuff like that. But Josh personally interacts with Christian. All right. Josh is personally like trying to manipulate Chris into taking action instead of just kind of distancing himself. Like I don't like this, how shady and underhanded it was. Right. Like I did not like how personally involved Josh was with Chris Chan. All right. Like I feel very strongly about this, is that like you should never have interacted with Chris Chan at all. In fact, I myself, like in recent years, kind of feel like people were in the wrong for doing so, because you're essentially like going after someone who's mentally handicapped. Why? Because it amuses you? Like, come the fuck on. Talk about pathetic. And like the thing is, and the thing that really disgusts me about this is how like many people are trying to paint this as a free speech issue. Like, oh, we should be able to talk about whatever we want. We should be able to do whatever we want. This website fulfills a certain purpose. It fills a niche. Not really. You'll notice that on my YouTube channel, I talk about like other people all the time. Right? Like I just made a video about Max Dude. My channel isn't going to get nuked because I talk shit about Max Dude. Right? Like it's not going to get taken out for like recalling the $1 incident from video game number 58. Like I'm not going to get taken down for shitting on Darkside Phil. Right? All of whom are people I think were or at least deserve to be on KiwiFarms. Like, you don't need KiwiFarms to talk shit about people on the internet. Like, KiwiFarms was geared towards extremely hostile, extremely aggressive, no life incels who just want to spend their time just harassing people on the internet just because they can't, you know? Like, whenever something legitimately happened, whenever there was something like legitimately meaningful in like the world of the internet sphere, it happens outside of KiwiFarms, right? KiwiFarms has never accomplished anything. All right. Like when, Gamergate was in KiwiFarms, right? You have Ethan Ralph's downfall that had nothing to do with KiwiFarms. Like you have like all these like legitimately good, funny things that were talked about on Twitter, on YouTube, on other social media outlets. You did not need KiwiFarms for any of that. And that's kind of my view on that, is that like what purpose exactly did KiwiFarms serve, aside from being like a gathering ground of illegal activity? Like, of course, like I think the people who were seriously pushing for illegal activity are, of course, going to organize on other platforms. I'm sure they're already networking. I'm sure they've already like established a Discord server. I'm sure they haven't been inconvenienced by this at all. But I think allowing Josh as much influence on the community as a whole was a bad idea, because I do think Ethan Ralph was right when he started talking about how being friendly with Josh can be influential on how like the biggest trolling forum on the internet sees you, right? Like he was right about that. Like Nick Rekieta is a great example of someone who was always on good terms with Josh, always friendly with Josh, and like, what do you know? You have a thread on Nick Rekieta that in no way talks about all the shady, underhanded things he did with Vic, with any of the with the streams, with like his personal life or anything else, really. Stuff that like we know would be of serious interest to his audience and to his enemies even. But KiwiFarms just does not really put a lot of emphasis on that, at least not all the time. It's just it does feel like to me that KiwiFarms being off the internet hasn't really affected me at all. Like I don't miss it. I didn't like it when it was active. I had issues with Josh. I had an issue with people around Josh. I had an issue with the way the site was run. I had issues with certain aspects of the community. Again, this kind of goes back into what I was saying about like back in the Medicare days. Remember when Mr. Medicare was relevant? Like, why are you spending so much time and energy talking about nobodies on the internet? Who the fuck cares what Movie Bob is tweeting about? tweeting about, right? Who the fuck cares what like these obscure fucking people are doing? Like, I don't even care about like the big A-list, that guy with the glasses personalities anymore. All right. Like, and meanwhile, you have threads on people like Obscurus Lupa and Bonsai, I think. Like, did Bonsai have one? I don't remember, but like it felt like every Arms Girl had one. Yeah, I remember Mars Girl had one. Yeah, every obscure that guy with the glasses personality on there, in spite of not being relevant even back in the website's heyday, you have all these obscure internet personalities. Nobody that I personally follow and have something to say about, but not really. Other than like maybe Spoonie, I feel like the website was always a mismanaged mess. I feel as if yeah, it needed to be taken down because if it didn't get taken down, it was just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. I think there was no preserving it personally because I've always been an advocate for more firm, clear, concise rules when it comes to internet culture, right? Because people like Medicare, like they existed in a day, in a time where like you could do whatever you wanted on the internet, right? And it ended up like, messing with people and like ruining lives and causing trouble really for no reason. And this loser just can't get past it. Like, oh, the old internet is dead. Well, the old internet wasn't that special to begin with, right? Are you really like downplaying all like the real advancements, all the real cultural shifts, like the very real communities we do have? Like, was your entire identity around trolling? Like, come the fuck on. Like, do you like all I see from you is like bitching about trolling and complaining about the newest Nintendo Directs. That's it. Like, what else have you done with your life? I don't understand why this was ever so important to you. And that's my feelings on Kiwi Farms, is that it was a trolling forum that simply did not need to exist.